2012 could be a banner year for women in the U.S. Senate, or maybe not. More female incumbents are up for re-election next fall than ever before, and depending on how those votes go, it could mean the first loss of women's seats in more than 30 years. Hear them roar, no more. Ruth Mandel runs the Eagleton Institute of Politics at Rutgers University. She's a renowned scholar of women and politics. And we welcome you, Ruth. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we have the Democrats with at least 10 women running in significant positions, including 6 incumbents. It looks like Republicans are going to have 2, Ruth. And that means if we see a repeat of Republican victories like we saw in 2010, we could have a loss with regarding the number of women in the Senate. Picture that scenario and how likely you think that is.
I think it's too early to tell anything. You're right about what the likely numbers look like at this point, but no primary has been held. We don't have a final list of candidates. We have 28 women expressing an interest in running, 7 of whom are incumbents, 10 positioned for open seats if they become candidates, and then the other 11 challengers. So we just don't know. But you know what? If there's a loss, which I think is unlikely, but if there is a loss, we're talking about the numbers going down 1. If there's a win, they might go up 1. That's part of the pattern that we've been watching for years now. It is slow, it is incremental, and sometimes it feels stalled.
To what extent do you think the presence of women in an increasing number can do anything to turn around the mess on Capitol Hill, the gridlock?
Well, you know, we're miracle makers, right?
And we multitask, and we learn how to, you know, do what we have to do. Yeah.
I think, you know, the practical, pragmatic academic that I am would say that's very unlikely that this works with a leadership structure. The leadership structure, despite what we're watching now, still functions. It has pretty tight control over its members. So turn it around. But we have seen examples of women in politics working together across the aisle, collaborating, wishing it were better for them to work together, meeting together. The women in the Senate for some years now have dinner together once in a while, and that's all of the women in the Senate. So could we hope for some more collaboration and maybe a better tone with more women? Yeah. But I'd like to see the numbers a little larger than they're going to be after the next election before we'd expect anything like that.
With regard to the White House and positions of high prominence, it feels like women are getting further and further away from that. I mean, you look at Michelle Bachmann, where she's gone in the polls. I mean, she was up for a while with Iowa and then considerably down lower now. Sarah Palin not running. Nancy Pelosi no longer serving as the chairman of the House. Hillary Clinton may be leaving the State Department at some point next year with no specific plans for high office runnings and re-elections and the like. So talk about the state of that, and do you see anyone on the horizon?
Isn't it amazing, after all these years, you can go through 3 names and that's it. We're finished.
Well, let's throw in Geraldine Ferraro, too, because she was such a trailblazer in the VP.
84 and 72, Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm put her name forward, and she ran all the way to the convention. But she always knew she couldn't make it. The first woman to be taken seriously as a major party candidate for the presidency was Hillary Rodham Clinton, and as we all know, that happened just a couple of years ago. One of the things that I felt at the time, and continue to feel with some sense of shock, having watched all of this now for 40 years, is that there's no line behind her, really. Now, does that mean that Palin and Bachmann and women like that don't make a difference? They do, in the sense that, you know, we all go around saying you can't be what you don't see. And for children who are watching this and seeing that there are women up there and they're presenting themselves as candidates, the total effect of that in the long run is to open the door wider and wider for all kinds of people, even to make some women angry because they don't like the women who are running and maybe come forward. But there is not a long line, and if you look at the pool from which presidential candidates are typically drawn, that is governors and senators, there are 17 women in the Senate, there are 6 governors, very small pool.
Sobering. We're going to have to do something about that, aren't we? And have you back to talk about it again. Ruth Mandel, many thanks.
Thank you.